Good morning, Akshita. How are you doing?
Good morning, Natasha. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Absolutely very well. So glad to finally be talking here. So
I
first of all, I've
am
been
as well.
saying this. Big congratulations, 725 on your GMAT. And this was your section break, and I know all the emotion that you had the day that you got, and you weren't happy at all.
Yeah.
You've written it down to us, and more likely you weren't happy because the last point here, what you said, you expected better because 725 was the least score that you got in the official mock, and you've gotten up to 775. So that moment for all of us at that time was like, we understand, because then that's what sir set it up for you. Here's what we are looking at. Your quantitative is at 100 percentile. You might have got all the questions right. Verbal reasoning is at 98 percentile.
Yeah.
Data insight is where it kind of just slipped down to 94th, and that's where essentially you might have got the feeling to, reattempt. So tell me about that particular day when you got the score. What happened?
So I was really upset, for like 15 to 20 minutes till I left the exam hall. And actually, the center was pretty close to my place. So I was just walking and I was very sad, like extremely sad. So I was just walking back and I was thinking, what do I do now? What do I do now? Because like I knew that I had to travel for work and I had some other things that I had to do. So I only had a week post my exam wherein there could have been even a chance uh, reattempting. Otherwise, I knew I was busy post then, and that is the reason that uh, I wanted to give my exam a week or two earlier than the time that I gave it at.
Right.
Because just in case, so that's when I scheduled it, but it got cancelled, and I had to reschedule it multiple times, like I already told all of you. So now I was in a middle spot, and I was like, how do I reschedule it? Can I reschedule it? Will I even be able to do better? And what if? There's always that what if,
What
right?
the?
That what if I'm not, then is it worth trying? Is it worth getting a lower score on your profile, or is it just okay to settle with your first attempt, which is decent enough? So,
But
uh,
but that
yeah, I was
feeling
just,
that you just didn't want to settle, everyone that you spoke to were like, no, this is not the score that I'm going to settle in for. Remember it vividly, you spoke to the faculty also, Tanishk, I think. You might have
yeah,
spoken to, and you were like, no, this is not what I'll be settling in for. It at some point, obviously, we are very proud that you got the score, and there's a big proud feeling also that, you don't want to settle in for less. And that's what Sir's motive and philosophy is. Absolutely.
yeah, that is. But I did end up settling for it because after talking to Tanish, I got some clarity. I did want to try again, but we also talked about a plan of how I should take things forward, and it just did not seem like it would work in 4 days. Like after my exam for 2 days, I did study. I thought that I was going to give another attempt in a week or so. So I did not, break my cycle or anything. But after 2 days and after having a chat with everyone, all three, Tanish, you, Richa, uh, I just saw that I don't want to rush into the attempt. I would have had to because I did not have an option. And I did not want a lower score on my profile just in case. So then I decided that I won't.
Right. So let's,
Yeah.
go a little back and then just talk about, give me a brief about yourself as to where, what are you doing currently? And
Mhm.
more so importantly, how did this entire GMAT or an MBA journey all stem in? And how did you find Sandeep sir? And, how did top 1% happen for you?
Right. So, about top 1%, that's like an interesting story. So I'll pick that up first. I was in DIICT, Dhirubhai Ambani Institute of Information and Communication Technology. It was my engineering college. It's in Gandhinagar. I did BTech in computer science from there. Now I was in a tech fest committee in the college, and we go around for public relations and getting sponsorship for the fest and everything. That's how we found a top 1%. So I knew about it, but like at that time, I did not know that I was ever going to come here for guidance and for coaching. Um, But when I finally decided, like, I knew that I wanted to do GMAT, but I also knew that I first wanted to be in the tech space for at least some time. Now, when I started working, I'm the kind of person that 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 keeps feeling like I need to do something. Like if I just keep working, I wouldn't be okay. Like what do I do with the rest of the time? Not that I have a lot of it, but then it constantly feels like I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. So I knew that I wanted to pursue an MBA after some time. So like 6 months or an year into work, an year more like because I interned for 6 months and then I was not doing anything for 6 months till December last year. I started interning in January last year. So December after New Year, I decided that now I need to do something, and I knew that I wanted to do an MBA. So I thought that let's get over with one thing first. Let's get done with GMAT, and then I can think about my journey because I did not want it to be like I started in I'm so sorry. I did not want it to be like I started in Jan and then I got done with GMAT in like 4 months, and then I'm preparing for my applications and I'm panicking. I did not want that. I wanted it to be, gradual and planned. So yeah, this January I thought that I'll do GMAT, and then I was talking to a few people, and we recall that there was top 1%, and we went there for public relations, and we got some sponsorship out of it. So I thought that I'll just call someone up. We already had Richa's number,
Right.
so yeah, I just called her up and then I talked, and then I saw your results, of course. So I, of course, believe that I wanted to go to a place where nothing lesser is expected out of you. Uh, so
So
yeah,
you
that's how I think I only made 2 or 3 calls. I did not even bother to look around like a lot. I was pretty satisfied with what Richa had said, and then I attended the session, and it was a huge bummer. I thought that, oh, it's just GMAT, and then and then I got into all the traps that Sir had set up in that first 8 question session, I guess, and then I was like, I'll have to study.
there's
It's
a
not
bit of
going to be
a
just a
journey here.
cakewalk, but yeah.
So you ended up taking up a self-paced course to the live classes?
I ended up taking the self-paced course because I knew that I wouldn't be able to keep up with the homework of the live classes because of work situations.
So
So,
okay. So
yeah, I
how did
decided
the
to.
self-paced work in the sense that because then when we talk about self-paced, it's discipline. That's more, and rest of
Yeah.
everything is exactly the same. There's nothing that you're going to miss out. And so how did you keep up with the discipline in terms of being consistent and being at it and being motivated to study every single day? Obviously when I look back and when I see your score and now try and look back, I'm sure that the discipline is there because the want to get a higher score. I could see it, but you tell me yourself, how did it all come up?
Uh, I mean, I think you did summarize it because, like I told you, I'm that kind of person who has the need to keep doing something, and I cannot just do something. I mean, if I'm doing something, then I want to be good at it. I I have never been like कि ठीक है चला लेंगे इतने से मतलब it has happened. It's not like it has not. When I gave my JE exam and all, it did not go as well, of course, but I have always wanted to be there and not here.
Right.
So yeah, that's what kept me motivated because sir always said that if you want to get there, you'll have to do it every day. You'll have to do it every day. So even if I missed a day, I mean, I barely did. I think I only missed like 5, 7 days. Out of it, two were for my graduation and four were my for some weddings in my family. But I only missed like a very few days.
That was
There
like a
were days where I
calculated
couldn't
days
do a
that
lot.
it was calculated. You knew it that these days you're going to miss, so you know how to
Yeah,
compensate
yeah,
them.
yeah. And yeah, so other than that, I made sure that I was studying every day. There were days where I couldn't give my 100%, of course, because of work and everything, but I made sure that I studied because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get there if I don't, because sir has always said that.
Right. So before we get into the preparation and the content and so, in through the preparation, like while you're preparing, were there any point where you hit like a stagnant point? Because then for you, for anyone to kind of just keep going, the progress is one of the things that really, it's like I genuinely tell some people, like it's like a video game. You're trying to unlock one level after the
Mhm.
other and something, keeps hooking up because you know you're progressing and so you want to reach there, right? At 100% level. So in through your preparation, did you hit a roadblock? Did you hit a stagnant point, or was it always a, progressive preparation for you?
I mean, even a stagnant point is an understatement. I think there were times where I dropped. Like, there were times where I couldn't find a reason why, but I couldn't perform as well as I performed in the last mock or something.
Right,
Uh, it happened, and matlab aise, I think I remember there was this session sir was taking. There was a graph in the session. He said that the preparation goes like this: like first you progress, and then you feel like you're good enough, and then you drop a little, but then the next time you work harder and you progress, it's better than your last maxima, if you want to
right,
put it that way. And that keeps happening. So that has happened with me as well. And I think there was this one moment where I was like, oh, what I'm going to do now. Uh, I think it was when I was giving one of the top mocks only. The first time I gave a top mock, my score was I think 665. And I was like, it's okay. It's the first mock. Let's try harder. But there was a point in somewhere between, like the fifth mock, I think. In the fourth mock, I got a 705 in the top mock. So I was like, okay, you're there, just 20, 30 more points. And I think you'll do even better in the actual GMAT because top mocks are a little more difficult. But in the next mock, which was the fifth mock, I scored a 635. I was
right.
like, I'm done for. And then,
Completely.
yeah, just had to work harder. It was hard to accept that what happened. I never scored that less. And even my first mock was better than that.
Right.
So I was like, okay,
So
where is this going?
when you started off in your preparation, what were your weaker sections or the challenging section? Like, were you good at some sections? So when you started off, you would like, yeah, I can do this section. It's a breeze, and the rest of the section you have to work hard. Did you start with that thought, or you had to work equally hard with all the section? How did it come across?
DI was, I mean, I talked, I talked to Tanishq about it as well. It was always a little ambiguous. Like, I wasn't able to place a finger on where I was going wrong at times. Because as Sarah said, it's easy, and yes, it is. It's just some data, and sometimes you miss things. And I don't know when I miss things and when I don't. Like if I could put a finger on that this is the mental state I miss things in, then I would have been able to improve it and not do what I did in the exam.
Right,
But yeah, there were times when I did not realize what's happening with me in DI. Otherwise, I would have scored better. And there was one pattern that I realized that if I keep giving DI mocks every day for a week, then I might miss things in the first 2 3 days, but then it would be smooth. So that's what I did before my actual exam when it was scheduled. Like for a week straight, I knew that I had to do DI. I had to do DI every day. I had to give that 45 minutes at least, and then I'll be good during the exam. I won't make those mistakes. But then my exam got rescheduled, and I was out of mocks, and then it happened with me again during the exam. So that was a bummer, but that's okay. The main problem was not being able to put a finger on it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened during the exam either. And in verbal, I needed practice, no doubt. Of course, once taught octave, RC became much easier than it's supposed to be. And CR took me some time. Like I kept making mistakes. I kept choosing what felt like a second best answer. But yeah, I went through my error log and tried to find a consistency in my mistakes. And it did happen. Like there was a phase where I was making a lot of mistakes in weak and strengthen questions. Then there was a phase where I was making a lot of mistakes in evaluate questions. But then I figured it out. It
right,
wasn't. I mean, the verbal I got in my exam was particularly hard. I think it was my second section, which was right after quant, and I got quant all right. So verbal was particularly hard for me, but I got like 5 questions wrong in verbal, and still it's a 98 percentile. So I think that it's because it was very hard. But
right,
yeah, I eventually figured
right.
out what my mistakes were.
So, while you started, of course, when you look at the entire preparation, so there are a couple of things. Econ was the strong area that you mentioned, but you still continue to. So the bit here is that if you make in this exam, if you make even one mistake in quant, the percentile comes really low. So you couldn't
Yeah.
really afford, if you wanted 100 percentile, you just couldn't afford to even get one wrong. compared to, let's say, the previous, the version of the GMAT, where you can get 2, 3 questions wrong and still be at 99 percentile or 100 percentile, at least 1 or 2 wrongs, that case is there. Here it becomes very difficult because the number of questions have reduced. So in terms of your preparation, you continue to follow what Sandeep sir had mentioned in the study plan. And the second question that follows is, if you recollect, how many questions as a practice you have picked up to solve in each of these sections?
Well, yes, I had continued with everything that Sir has mentioned in the study plan. First, I followed the Excel, and then I followed the plan of action PDF.
After
But
class.
I finished each and everything except a few mocks here and there on the portal. Like there were some long sitting tests that I did not have the time to do at the end, and I was okay with it because I was more or less fluent with my verbal by then. And of course, I was facing issues with DI, so I completed everything. And quant, I did not bother to do everything because I did not need to.
Right.
Yeah, I did continue with everything that Sir had said. And about the number of questions, like I have no idea. Like there weren't as many questions in DI, I'd say, but even in DI, I would have done at least 500, I'm guessing,
Wow.
here
It's
and
enough.
there.
Yeah.
But in verbal, there are like thousands, it's not even singular, I think. It's like 2,000 questions or more, I think. Because there
So
were so many books.
you did solve all of them. You did end up
Yeah,
solving
I solved
them.
all of the book. The
Wow.
topic-wise book, the CR book, I think that itself had like 1,000 questions or more. And
I
then there were
I must
uh,
ask you, so how many hours would you spend every day because it's a lot of questions. So you would have spent good number
yeah.
of hours per every day. How many hours and
So
weekend?
that was the problem, that I couldn't give more than 2 or 3 hours every day. That is the reason that it took me longer than it took most people, because I did not want to go in half prepared. I did not want to, skip some questions, and then when the score came in and I was like, oh, I should have done that or this. I did not want to feel that way. I wanted to make sure that I did everything at least. So I give like 3 hours every day. I had work, so I studied in the morning before work, so that I'm focused enough. Because for first 2 weeks, I tried studying post work, but it wasn't as focused. So I thought that I'd rather do it in the morning. So yeah, every day I gave like 2 to 3 hours. The days I stayed at home, work from home, I gave 3 hours. The day I had to go to office, I could only give two. And then there were weekends where I had to put in effort. I had to give like 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever. Uh, but yeah, it took me longer. It took me like 4, 5 months, 5 months, I'd say. Um, but that was because I had to complete everything.
And through your preparation, did any of the material or video session, or mock, be it error log or study plan, that stood out? Like it seems like a savior that without this, I would have just not. I mean, all of the material and content are placed in such a way that this is a must. Like without one, you would never be able to progress or not be able to see the score that you saw today. But something that stood out for you.
um, I think everything that I did had its importance. Um, I'm not sure if anything stood out. The portal was a really great help. Um, but I don't think there was any particular book that stood out. Everything was necessary, it felt like. Looking back, I think that I could have skipped a few questions here and there. That's okay. But it was better to get an idea overall what's there in which book, which type of questions are there. And they sometimes questions can get really tricky, and you wouldn't know if there's even logic there, but there always is, and you need to find one. So there were a lot of questions in CR topic wise, I think, that helped me figure that out, that there will always be a logic.
Right. So on the mock portal, and you've said enough about how you utilize them. So were there any questions and doubt support that you seek, to strategic help that you seek through your preparation, or you did not take the chance to ask any questions? And how was it in case if you did take the doubt support?
Uh, of course I did. I mean, there were questions where I got stuck, and then there was a written solution to it. But there are questions in verbal, especially, where you feel like even you have an approach that might be correct, and it gets harder to accept that what you were thinking is wrong and what's written is right. Sometimes you need support in that. Sometimes you need someone to come and tell you that no, what you're thinking is wrong because of this. And even when they're telling the because, they'll tell you that that because does not matter, it's wrong.
Right.
So you need to get into that, get into accepting what's wrong, what's right, because
Very important.
every answer will seem right if you don't do that. Especially in CR, every answer would seem like there's this logic to this answer. You can always overthink about every question that about every option that's written for one particular question. So yeah, it really helped. Whenever I was stuck in, it was mostly verbal or DI for me. I have hardly written a mail or two for quant, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I
Uh,
always seeked out someone for
and
DI
how are
or
you
verbal.
happy with the
Yeah, of course.
response? Yeah,
Yes, yes, I was. And if I was not, then I made it a point to tell them as well that this is not sitting
not
well
the
with
right
me.
one.
I still need some help. I still can't understand it. I kept doing that.
Perfect, perfect. So on the test day, what time did you schedule your test and how what you mentioned your order of preparation was quant, verbal, and then DI. So when did you choose to take a break? Was it between quant and verbal or between quant, verbal, and DI?
It was after verbal, I think, because as I told you, mine was particularly difficult. So felt very panicked after verbal. So I just needed like a minute of cool down before I started with DI. So that's when I took my break.
Right. And so, any particular section seem like, in terms of the question, because you practice so many questions, like I have to still ask, did any of the questions seem like out of the box, familiar, something that you've never solved, came in through the exam, something like that happened?
Mhm. No,
Did you save some time in
that did
each of the
not.
section? How did you pace through the preparation?
I
Exam?
saved time in quant, yes, but in the other two, I could not.
You could not. Did you
Yeah,
rush
I
it? Was
paced
there an,
myself like sir suggest, like
yeah,
in verbal, there's like what was that? 11,
like
11,
this,
11, 9 minutes.
right,
And then they had 10, 10, 10, 5 minutes. But I paced myself in verbal as such, but there was a really long passage in the middle, which took time, but I was able to finish it. It wasn't an issue. Uh, but yeah, it was harder, so it panicked me. With DI, I tried to pace myself like sir has said, and I usually do, but I don't know what happened that day. I could not.
right.
I mean, I kept an eye on the clock always, and I followed that for like first 10, 12 questions, and then something got mixed up in the middle.
So,
Yeah.
Akshita, you've at least in the last few minutes of conversation, you followed exactly what like Sandeep sir said in terms of right from building that philosophy to not settling that score to following the plan to build on your strengths to make sure that you're consistent because that's one thing. A lot of students, when I speak to them, they have a break and then they come back, but at least you're in your mind, you've taken calculative steps to make sure that you reach. So, in retrospect, when you look back right now, so for us, at least, you followed what we have asked you to, and you're a perfect example and epitome, I would say. So, when you look back, what are the things that you would suggest that these are the do's and these are the don'ts for any student who's maybe starting out or maybe in the middle of the preparation or towards the end?
Mhm.
You could just say one or more in each of these category.
I think one of the do's is definitely be consistent. Do not take a break. I
Right.
mean, you can take a break. You can study lesser on a particular day, but do not study because it really affects your rhythm, is what I have seen. It would seem superficial and trivial to people, maybe in the beginning. It seemed to me as well that it's okay. What can a day do? But it does affect. There's a fluency that is needed while giving this exam. It's not as hard, but it requires some practice. So yeah, I would definitely recommend to be consistent. And don't skip through questions. Like, if you don't understand something, then understand it. Don't be like एक question पे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा. Because maybe that question will clear some concept in your head that might help you with like 100 other questions. So yeah, don't skip through a question because it's harder.
Right. Perfect.
That's
So thank you so much. If
these
there's
are the two
anything else,
main things I think.
yeah, you could. But then you have done. So there is nothing. Like I said, you have done exactly what it needs to be done. So for you to pick and choose that this stood out or not would be a little. If you hadn't done, then probably you could have just said, okay, well, because I didn't do this, this is the must. So hence, I think you've covered it all. We feel
Yeah, that
so
was
glad
that's why
that
I was disappointed that
yeah, with DI,
so
of course, I think that maybe one of the things, maybe if you had given enough time on the DI, and if you got that bit, that this is like how you are very sure of quant and verbal, if that DI, if you could get it, we would have had the score that you were looking
yeah.
at. But this is a fantastic score to begin with, and you do have with a good, great profile like yours. You just have to work. You said you're not applying this year. You
Hello,
probably
Natasha, I'm losing you. Yeah, I think I can hear you now.
okay, let's see. So essentially, maybe if you had spent a little bit of a time on the DI, if you possibly were hoping that how you could point out, especially that's what you said, if you got some question wrong in quant and got some question wrong in verbal, you would know it, right? So the DI one thing was missing, but then this is a fantastic score. I would tell you that this opens up every opportunity that you have to apply to any school in the world. But my question again was, are you looking to apply this year itself, or are you taking some time to apply?
I am planning to apply next year. As I said that I wanted to get done with my GMAT and year earlier. So I did that. I only have 1 year of experience as of now. Like I'll be completing 1 year tomorrow. Well,
Very
that
good.
works out. I'll be completing 1 year tomorrow. So I'd like to work another year before I apply. I want to have, and it's also required to have 2 years of experience anyway. So yeah, and I mean, my job is fun as well. I want to explore more definitely, but I don't want to just leave engineering B. So yeah, another year here and then I'll apply next year.
But at
I'm
least
in touch with
there is
Ranjika and Autry as well.
right. It leaves you a lot of, I mean, now there's no baggage in terms of, okay, GMAT, I have to sit down and do
Mhm.
GMAT. Now you can really explore and you want to probably add more into the experience, probably take a shift also, and probably take tech and business together. You have,
Yeah,
the maximum ability to go and explore without really, looking back at what will help you or what is going to make you sit down to prepare for GMAT. So 1 year, there's so much of opportunity. You can, the sky's the limit. So I'll be really looking forward to how your journey goes from here. We'll be very happy when that M7 happens and, you are at the campus and, that happens. There's a manifestation, a goal.
yeah. Thank you.
But you are super smart and everything, and you're at least focused, and that's what everyone needs. So I'm going to be very happy to see the progress that you make. We'll stay connected, and if at all you want to have any kind
Okay.
of conversation, please let me know. Happy to have any kind of conversation. So Autry and Ranjika would be the next step for you, of course. But there's some time for
Yeah.
you to kind of get back there, right? So I wish you all the very best. And
Thank you.
all of us, although Sandeep sir couldn't make it and couldn't speak to you right now, but I have to convey that, he's extremely proud of you and extremely proud of
Thank
the fact
you.
that you still didn't stop at that 725. He just feels like that's him, right? So I had to convey this from top 1%, from the entire team, from Richa, from all of us. I wish you all the best, and we are proud that, that you gave us the chance, took a chance on us to get this score, and happy that we played a part in the next chapter of your life, that it's going to take a turn, right? Thank you.
Pleasure is definitely mine, and thank you so much. Thank you so much to Top 1%. You all have been very, very supportive of the entire journey and also of my entire dilemma.
Mhm.
I've talked to I've talked to like 4 or 5 different people, and everyone has helped me out in different ways, which has helped me reach a decision and be okay with it. I'm
Absolutely.
really very grateful.
So thank you. So all right,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for joining me this morning. You have a lovely day ahead. Bye, take care.
Thank you. You
Good
too.
day.
Bye.
Bye.